Your life is not too boring. You just need to change your perspective a little bit. Hi, hello, it's 𝚗𝚘𝚎, and I am back with another video, and I am standing on my penny proud soapbox once again. And we're going to talk about why you need to change your perspective so you can get journaling, so you can have fun, you can scrapbook, you can do whatever you want, really, and have fun doing it. So let's get into the video. So this video is going to be split up into a couple of parts. I think it's a couple. It may be more than that. You'll know when you're watching this. I don't know right now. But the main two parts are going to be me talking about a change in perspective, and the other part is going to be me talking about the journal that has completely changed everything for me in regards to journaling, how I look at my life, how I romanticize my life or don't. This journal has helped me so much, and we're going to talk about that one as well. But first, let's talk about what I mean when I say you need to change your perspective. Now, if you follow me on here because you've followed me from YouTube, then you may not know this, but 2-3 years ago, I posted a journal flip through of this journal, and a lot of people saw it. Okay, this isn't me trying to flex or anything. There's a reason I'm saying this. Very interesting, because I don't know if I like this journal or if I'm just like, I guess about it. Like, I do love it because it's mine, and it is one of my favorites, but it's one of my favorites for a different reason than I think people think it is. Like, I'm sure people think it's my favorite because it kind of blew up on TikTok, but that's not why. This is my favorite because it was the first journal that in a very long time I had completed. One of the most common comments I got on this video is, in some way, shape, or form, a form of this sentence. My life is too boring for this. I don't go anywhere. I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert. I don't have any friends. Those were the most common things that I got on the flip through of this. And it's so interesting to me because maybe this isn't a well-known fact because I don't talk about myself that much. And up until maybe October of last year, I very rarely showed my face on this channel. However, I have 3 friends, one of whom does not live in the state. And when I say I have 3 friends, I mean real close friends who I hang out with, who I do stuff with, I talk to on a day-to-day basis. Do I have other friends that in retrospect I know that I consider my friends? Yeah, but I don't see them. I don't really talk to them every day. There are 3 people that I talk to every day, and I don't even hang out with them very often. So I feel you. I'm a homebody. I'm always at home. I don't have a job. I'm just sitting at home most of the time and making YouTube videos, making TikTok videos, posting on Instagram, watching YouTube, watching new dramas, and I'm not doing anything. So I understand. I understand feeling like you aren't really living a life that's worth the scrapbooking, the junk journaling, the gratitude journaling. Maybe in your eyes, you're not doing anything, but that actually brings me to the second part of changing your perspective, and that is to broaden your understanding or horizon. So what I mean by this is you're looking at, for lack of a better word, the glass half empty. You're looking at your life, you're saying, all I do is go to school, I come home, I don't do anything but do my homework and go to sleep. I'm on AO3 until 2 a.m., which I was last night. I'm on Tumblr all through school. My friends and I don't have the same interests, or I'm into something that no one's interested in. Those things are not true, okay? There are absolutely people who are interested in the same things you are. Quite literally, by the law of averages, impossible for you not to have somebody out there in the world have a very similar belief system, very similar interests, very similar hobbies as you. Now, whether or not they're close in proximity to you is something totally different. For example, I had no one in close proximity to me, so I got on BookTube. And I was a booktuber for, I want to say, 5 years. And I met Brittany and Oshale, who I am in a book club with. And I got that from being online. Now, this is not me telling you to go talk to strangers online, especially if you're a minor. However, there will be someone who has the same interests as you. But even if they're not, even if the law of averages says there's absolutely a way that no one on earth on this big rock has the same opinions as you, who cares? Now, maybe this is because I'm so good at being alone and I like being alone, but I like my company, okay? I will go to shops by myself. I will go to cafes by myself. I will go to concerts by myself. This isn't to say that I don't enjoy when people go with me, because absolutely the concert is much more fun when my friends are there. I love hanging out with my family, and if I wasn't pushing 30 and all my friends had lives, I would see them all the time if I really could. Maybe. I don't know if my social meter can withstand that, but whatever. But I do think a issue a lot of us have is the fact that we cannot stand to be alone. We can't stand to do things alone. Now, I'm not saying that you should be antisocial like me. I am antisocial. Like how I have friends is questionable because I'm the least social person in the world. But I managed to have friends. Okay, I just did. But to be honest, about 89%, that's such an awkward number, but 89% of my time is spent alone. And I only say 89 because I do have biological roommates, and technically I'm not by myself. I say all that to say, don't be so turned off about doing stuff by yourself, because I genuinely believe, regardless of us talking about journaling, just in a life instant, being able to be on your own is such an important thing, because if you need someone to constantly be around you, you'll always be looking for outward validation from somebody, and you don't want that. You want to be able to validate yourself. And listen, I'm talking about myself too, because sometimes I care way too much about what people think or about what society thinks. So I feel you. So that being said, my next tip is to focus on the little things in your life. I think when it comes to journaling, especially scrapbooking or junk journaling, creative journaling, we have this idea that you can only talk about the big things. You know, like, I don't know, your son's first steps. You graduated with a master's degree. Your son graduated high school. Your daughter went to prom. You opened your business. It doesn't have to be that big. Now, granted, absolutely be happy about those accomplishments, but there are so many things in your day-to-day life to be grateful for that you can use in your journals, and you're just not really paying attention. The thing is, memories can be taken from anywhere. So an example of something super small that I've put in my journals is one day I ordered groceries with Instacart, and my Instacart person sent me a picture of the ice cream because he was like, they don't have your ice cream. And I didn't look at the picture at first, so that was partially my fault. And I said, "Oh, it's fine. Just tell me what they have left over." So there was this HEB ice cream. I don't remember what it's called because HEB has like names for their ice cream. I said, "Just go ahead and give me that one. It's no big deal. I was just having a little bit of a craving. It was that time of month." He brought me the ice cream, and then I saw the picture he sent, and there was like 7 of the actual butter pecan I wanted, but whatever. I ended up getting this new ice cream, and I tasted this ice cream. Listen, HEB outdid themselves. I made a whole spread in this journal about this ice cream. Just about this ice cream. Let me show you. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys a lot in here, but I'm just going to show you this real quick so y'all can see that I'm not lying. I actually need to finish it, but I made a whole spread about ice cream. And not just ice cream in general, this ice cream. It was called Caramel Pecan Turtle, and it's HEB's Creamy Creations if you're in Texas. So good. But the whole thing is that I would imagine most people would just be like, okay, girl, it's ice cream. It's not going nowhere. You could probably go get it at HEB from now until the end of HEB's time, and that be it. And it's really not necessarily something that important. You know, I liked the new ice cream and I wrote about it and I moved on. And it's really not that big of a deal. Like, if you really think about it, you found a new ice cream, you like, woo. You know, most people wouldn't sit there and be that pressed about it unless they were like an ice cream connoisseur. You know what I mean? Or they owned an ice cream shop and they were making their own flavors like Ben and Jerry's or something. But that is something that I wanted to write about because I was really happy, and changing my perspective and broadening my horizons has really helped me, and realizing that in a day, there's so many things that I've done that I can be happy about, proud about. It doesn't have to be something big. I don't have to be super proud because I don't know, won some distinguished award. I could be happy and write in my journals about, I actually got up on time today, walked my dog, and ate breakfast, which, if you know me, I get really nauseous in the morning and I never eat breakfast. So for me, that's something to be proud of. I woke up, I fed my dog, I walked my dog, and I ate, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not eating in the morning, even though I should. I think something important to keep in mind also is you don't have to be this fantastic writer, okay? And I think I said this in one of my older videos. You don't need to be Toni Morrison, okay? You don't need to be Langston Hughes or some other prolific author, okay? You don't need to be any of those people to write in there. We're just looking at this way too complicated. You're just looking at this as something way more complicated than it actually is. So my next tip is to have a journal ecosystem. And I've talked about journal ecosystems here before. I actually have two videos. I have one on my ecosystem, and then I have another one on how to build an ecosystem. However, I really enjoy having this little ecosystem of journals and planners and tablets, notebooks that I always come back to. But what I love about having a whole ecosystem is if you're feeling bored in one of the journals, you can jump to another one. So let's say you have really been pushing junk journaling, like you've been junk journaling to your little heart's content. And then you realize I'm all junk journaled out. I haven't been journaling in a month. What do I do? Well, girl, you have like 3 other journals. Go do your commonplace. Go do your K-pop journal. Go do your movie and TV show journal. Maybe you'll be a little bit more inspired once you start jumping around. Now, for some people, this is very anxiety inducing and would rather have an everything journal. So in that sense, if you have an everything journal where everything is just in one journal, then you can still jump around. Just jump around with what you're doing in it. Don't do 8 junk journal spread, okay? Maybe do a junk journal spread, then a creative spread. Maybe do a bullet journal spread, an anime journal, whatever the case may be. But I actually enjoy doing this because I feel like when I'm uninspired in one place, I might find inspiration somewhere else. So I might be too uninspired to go through and do my commonplace, but I watched a really good drama and I want to put it in my media journal. So you can also think about it like that. You can also try different writing styles. So you can do the bullet way where you bullet point. I actually really enjoy this one. It's the same thing as one line a day, another video I have on my channel that you can go check out where I talk about how to do one line a day and how great it is. You can brain map like they teach kids to do when they're learning like writing skills and stuff. I actually really like to do this where you do like a brainstorm thing where you do, you know, the circle or maybe an actual brain and there's like a big word in there that can be torn apart. So maybe you put in your circle The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm sorry, I have The Nightmare Before Christmas all over my room and I saw 0, so I said that. And maybe you go off and on one little circle for the brainstorm map, you put Disney. And then from Disney, you're like, I've really been dying to have a Disney vacation. And then you go there and you're like, oh, I should make a spread about my dream Disney vacation. Going back to The Nightmare Before Christmas, maybe another one that you go down and do is Sally. And then from Sally, you're thinking, oh, I can do a spread on all of my favorite Disney characters or all the characters that I have a closeness to that makes me happy or that I feel a kinship with. And then another little brainstorm map. I don't know why I can't think of the actual what do you call them when you branch off from the original name? I don't know. Maybe the next one is Halloween or Christmas and you think, oh, I can do a Christmas bucket list, a Halloween bucket list. I can make a spread on my favorite Halloween costumes. You could also free write or you can do brain dumps. I like to do brain dumps where it's just kind of like a stream of consciousness type thing where you're just sitting there and word vomiting onto the page. So even if you have a song stuck in your head, you're writing down the lyrics to that song. If your stream of consciousness is, I really hate today, you can write I really hate today like 80 times. There's so many different writing styles out there that you could be looking at and trying out. So that is also one that I really love to do. Okay, so now what you've probably all actually been waiting for, we're going to talk about my sweet little journal. This one is a 𝚗𝚘𝚘𝚎. Honestly, these are probably my favorite journals outside of the Moleskines, but I love this one. You can never go wrong with Japanese stationery. So this is my baby. This is a journal I don't use a lot, as you can see. I started it, I want to say 1.5 years ago, and I'm very particular of what I put in here. Not because of perfectionism, but more so because I have a habit of telling myself that a journal is for something specific, and then I all of a sudden do something else in here. You know what I mean? So I try to only do this maybe once a month or twice a month. So I call this my little things journal because of a couple of things. I do have a few rules for this journal. Number one, I can't be sad. I can't be emo, unhappy, none of that. This is supposed to be more along the lines of a gratitude journal, but not a gratitude journal. Because I'm not necessarily talking about what I'm grateful for, but I am using the gratitude for little things that happen in my life to make a spread. So that's the first rule. No being sad, no being mad, only happiness, okay? This whole notebook is joy from inside out. Like there is no other emotion working in this brain but joy at this point. And then the second rule I have is that I don't actually put anything big in here. So I don't focus on big things that happen. So if I graduated from college, if I had a baby, if I don't know, did something that most people would scrapbook or junk journal about, something really, really big. I have this as a specific rule just because I feel like it's so easy to acknowledge the big things in your life. So, like I said, if I had a baby, that's a big thing in my life that would happen. I don't have children, but whatever. No graduations, and no graduations for anybody. So, I don't put in there that my nephew graduated. I don't put in there that my dad did this or my mom did that. Nothing big, because I really want to focus on the very minuscule things in my life that in retrospect aren't that big of a deal. You know, these are things that in retrospect I probably don't need in my life, but they add so much happiness that I'm not paying attention to them. They're little things that don't necessarily get enough recognition, is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to open this up and I'm going to go through all of the pages with you guys. So the front page, I just kind of decorated it and I gave myself a very short diary entry where I talk about what I want this journal to be. So that's something I do in a lot of my journals. I will put in the beginning what I hope for this journal and kind of like my intentions. So the next page is, I decided my first page would be a Dunkin' Donuts spread, and it was literally just an order me and my mom got from Dunkin' Donuts. Whenever me and my mom are together, we go to Dunkin' Donuts a lot, even though I hate their donuts and I only like their coffee, and I do like their bacon and their tater tot. Other than that, nothing else. And then the second page right next to it is also a page about my mom, and it's a cafe we love to go to. It's called Java Nation. There's multiple locations in Maryland and we go to all of them equally, but I love Java Nation, and I just kind of talk about in there the coffee orders that I tried, what I liked, the specific coffee, the feel of the cafe. And genuinely, this isn't really something that's that big of a deal because me and my mom go to cafes all the time. Me and her are very similar in so many ways. I don't just look like her because I am her twin, but we have very similar interests. So then I started talking about how we went to the library. I also, in this one, typically I'm listening to a playlist when I journal. So I write down the playlist and the YouTube name of the person who made the playlist. So this one says a romantic academia playlist for something love stories. I can't read my own handwriting. Okay, moving on. The next page, it says I'm in my Delulu era. And I do remember making this one because me and my sister had a really great week that week. And I just kind of talk about how, it's kind of fun to be delusional a little bit, to be so delusional that you have no choice but to be happy, even when you're in your saddest times. I literally wrote, I'm going to start behaving like there's no plan B, which is actually a very common thing people do. I think it's called the no plan B rule, where you go about life as if there's no other option, that the only option you have is this one. Then I started talking about lazy days. Again, went to Java Nation. Me and my sister had a photo shoot because every time I go see her, she wants to have at least 8. And I kind of talk about how I really love lazy days where I'm just with my mom and my sister and my niece, and we're just chilling at the house, not really doing anything. I talk about how much peace that kind of brings me and just being around them and literally doing nothing all day. The next page is me talking about the library and just how serene I am there too. My mom, when I was a kid, actually used to take us to the library all the time because my neighborhood finally got a library after a billion years of not having one. And my parents were definitely people who threw stuff out. They did not believe in hoarding. If we had toys from Christmas that we had not touched in a month, that was going away. So they really didn't buy books, and they believed in, you go to the library, you read a book, and if you like the book, then you go buy it. So the library is such a special place to me. So I talked about how much escapism I get from the library. And yeah. The next page was going to be a page about Halloween, but I think I got sidetracked and forgot to do it. But that's what all these pictures are. They're going Halloween shopping and how much I love Halloween shopping. I actually remember everything I wanted to do for this page, and it was literally just talking about the serotonin I get from Halloween shopping. The next one is me and my mom's first visit to the National Book Festival, and it's literally just me talking about books and how much I love books, about being an English major. I don't really talk about graduating or anything like that, but I talk about the day itself and how much I love going to DC, and I got to go to the National Book Festival. I don't go to DC a lot when I'm in Maryland anymore, but I talk about how I should go to more book events, how book people are just my people, and just how much I had fun. This may feel like something that's kind of a big thing to talk about, but in my opinion, it's really not, because it's free. It happens every year. Of course, everyone can't go to it, but it's not necessarily something that I think is a huge thing. Am I really grateful to be able to go, and it's definitely a privilege to be able to go, because everyone will not be able to go, and there's going to be hundreds of people who would love to go and can't. But in my opinion, just talking about books really isn't, a big thing. The next one, I kind of dissected my birthday. Again, I didn't finish it because it was my birthday and I kind of forgot. And on this page, I talk about the freebies I got, and I was supposed to finish about the freebies, but I talk about all the freebies. I ended up having an issue with one of the freebies, but ended up working itself out. And I did not let myself talk about that. I was just like, listen, that might have happened, but who cares? And I just talked about the small things about that birthday that really meant a lot to me. Like, my big sister called me and was like, I'm going to take you out. Her and her husband wanted to take me out, but they took me out, and, we just got drunk and had a good time. And it was such a nice birthday. I didn't really do anything. I just kind of went around, got freebies, and drove around in the car with my mom and my sisters. The next page is me talking about YouTube and the slow growth I was experiencing on YouTube. I've been on YouTube at this point in 2025 for 10 years. At the time in 2023, it was 8 years, I believe. And I talk about how I got a new profile pic, which is the one of me going like this, and how I reached 1,400 subscribers, and how I decided to really focus on my channel. It's not necessarily me talking about that milestone of 1,400 subscribers, but more so me talking about how I'm really going to start focusing, kind of going back to that I want to be in the no plan B section of my life. So on that next page, it says little happies recently. So I just kind of listed a bunch of stuff that really made me happy. So I got a cute little teapot, which you guys have probably seen in my videos before. I decorated my room all Halloweeny. Love that. I got to see my nephew because I hadn't seen him in months. My big cousin, who's like my big brother, came over and gave me this really cute shirt. And I had finally posted a video after 3 weeks. I showed a picture of one of my freebies, which was Baskin Robbins, and I did like a mini note. And I said there was no reason to post this on here. I just like ice cream. The next page, I took my sister and her daughter to the Christmas lights at Post Houston, and we had a lot of fun. She loved it. My niece, kids and lights, she loved it. Next page, I talk about Halloween and just how much I love Halloween and how's my favorite season. I listed some movies that I either wanted to watch or did watch, and how I just kind of stayed inside. I'm a Halloween person and I like to go out for Halloween, but I also really like to stay inside. And I think the season of Halloween is better than the day of Halloween. The day is great and all, but it's the lead up. It's getting to September and knowing everything is just going to become Halloween. And that's what I love. The next page, I talked about having a family day. My baby sister and her daughter were in Houston, so we just had a day of doing absolutely nothing. I don't go to the Galleria, but every time my sister comes, she wants to go to the Galleria, and we went to the Galleria, and child, there was Texas Rangers at the Galleria. Do y'all remember when the Galleria used to be like you was big if you were going to Galleria? Baby, now they arresting people left and right. The Texas Rangers had a big old dog, and they were like, I mean, it's low-key kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. And my dad just turned to my baby sister and was like, we don't go to the Galleria, and every time I go, it's with you, and there's always some shit happening. I just have pictures of my niece and nephew. We went out, we tried velvet taco. They were delicious. We spent too much money. Me and my sister went to Taco Cabana and had drinks, and it was hot, really hot. And then we got rained on, which I thought was kind of funny. So, yeah. Next page, I went to a cafe with my really good friend. We have these social media days where once a month or every other month we'll get together and we'll go to a cafe, and I'll record videos, which is where y'all see my journaling at a cafe videos, or my body doubling videos are a lot of times done at a cafe. And we do this every month or every other month. And I just, have so much love for Brittany for doing this with me and creating content together and being each other's support system. I love that. So I wrote about how much I appreciate her and how much I appreciate our little monthly, bi-monthly social media days. Y'all, this is my HEB ice cream, which I need to finish as well. I am queen of not finishing stuff. I always tell myself, oh, I'm going to come back to it, and then I never do. So that's all I'm going to show you in this one, because I do think some things are just a little bit too personal. I did technically skip quite a few pages because, again, personal. But I can tell you some of the ones I've done I didn't show you. I've also done my favorite purchases. For example, there's disco balls all over my room and I just love them to death. And I have a whole spread where I talk about buying these $5 disco balls from Five Below. Sometimes I'll make spreads about, a drink mix. Like, for instance, recently I have perfected my favorite iced coffee that I make at home. It's salted maple. It's so good, girl. And I will write a spread about that. I already have the spread planned out to go in my little things journal, but I don't know if I want it in my little things journal or if I want it in my monthly favorites or like my monthly recap, or maybe I'll do both. Other times I write or make spreads and they don't have to be decorated, but sometimes and most of the times they are, about my favorite foods that I've recently eaten, or I'll talk about waking up on time. I'll talk about something someone said to me that made me really happy. Maybe your friend gave you a compliment that you really loved and you write about that. I say all this to say is don't forget to celebrate the small wins. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be that you went out and went to see Hamilton or something. I don't know why I said Hamilton. I've never seen that. But you can absolutely be proud of the big accomplishments while also being proud of the little accomplishments. Be proud of yourself for getting out of bed this morning. Be proud of yourself for trying a new recipe. Be proud of yourself for not making that purchase. You can make spreads about all those things. I found my Barbie dream car, the little ladybug dream car that I put stickers on, and I kept it. I have it hiding because my nephews will try to destroy it, but it's dirty and it needs a clean. But I loved this car. It made me want a buggy. I wanted a yellow buggy my entire life up until I was in like high school. And I made a spread about that. A whole spread about finding this one little childhood thing. So to wrap up everything I'm trying to say is don't forget to really, really focus on the little things happening in your life, because your life isn't boring, okay? Or maybe it is. Maybe it's boring to you. Maybe you need a switch up. But in my opinion, if you love your life and you love it boring, then you don't need to change it. This is just a PSA because I've talked about this on TikTok, and there's always some smart ASS who's like, that's great and all, but if I were to never talk about my feelings and have a rule that I can't be sad, I would never talk about my feelings. And I did not say that. I literally said that this is the only journal I own where I'm not allowed to be sad in. So just a PSA, because I know somebody's going to watch this video and say that. And listen, girl, you do you. Anywho, that's all I got for today. I hope this was helpful. Y'all know I'm scattered brained and I do my best to stay on topic, but I'm queen of tangents. So hope you enjoyed. If you did, go check out some of my other videos. In the next slide, you will see a link to my how to journal playlist as well as my most recent upload. And until next time, peace out, Girl Scouts. 'Cause I really hate you. 'Cause you made me so blue. And I promise to God I'll cut you off. But I really need you.